Welcome back to Nick.TV. If you're new around here, welcome to the channel. This is now a recurring video series on enterprise server hardware. This particular video is going to be about the IBM/Lenovo X3650 Model 4. So I wanted to give you an overview of this really powerful and surprisingly cheap enterprise server by IBM and Lenovo. So Lenovo bought out IBM's server division around the time this server was coming out in 2013. This is the X3650 Model 4 type 7915. Originally this server was designed for enterprise installations running environments such as Windows Server 2008, Windows Server 2012, and VMware vSphere 5.1 or ESXi. So this particular server, as it sits right now, is outfitted with two Intel Xeon 2650 version 2 processors. They are 8-core 16-thread CPU, so there's two of them. We got 16 cores and 32 threads total in the system. It originally only came with one 8-port SAS backplane, and I've expanded it, which cost the same amount as the server to do. $300 for this SAS expansion card. So I do have 16 2.5-inch SAS ports on the front of this server. I also added a PCIe riser card because it only came with one originally. Okay, I just wanted to show you the back panel here. The back panel has all relevant information about this server, including part numbers if you want to replace any components that need replacing. All these fans are hot swappable, so in the event that you had a fan malfunction while the server was operating, all you need to do is that, and it comes out. As I mentioned earlier, this server did only come with support for 8 drive bays. This configuration now has a total of 16. This server is also configurable with up to 24 2.5-inch drive bays in the front, or optionally 3.5-inch drive bays. There is also a port here for a tape drive. As you can see, there's also a VGA port, 2 USB ports, and a DVD drive on the front for managing this server if you felt like walking up to the server and plugging a KVM trolley up to it, if this was in a server rack, or you just don't like having to go around the back of the server rack to plug in your peripherals. So this server was designed with efficient airflow in mind with these fan shrouds. To the left here there is an integrated battery for the RAID controller that comes equipped in this server. This just comes up just as easy as that. Below the fan shroud we've got 2 processors and 24 DIMM bays. These are DDR3. Configurable up to 768 gigabytes of load-reduced DIMMs. Those are 32 gigabyte modules. But if you're running standard DIMMs, like I am, these are 16 gigabyte modules, and you can configure it up to 368 gigabytes of memory. And if you're using unregistered DIMMs, it can have a maximum of 192 gigabytes of memory and 8 gigabyte modules. When the system comes bare bones, it has just one processor in it. My configuration has 2. Alright, coming around to the back of this system, there are 4 gigabit Ethernet ports down here on the left. There's the IMM2 port here. That's for managing this server, which you can do when the system is shut down and you can access it through a web browser. You got your VGA, the second VGA port. There's a serial port. You got your 4 USB ports over here and dual hot swappable 900 watt power supplies. In my system, I've added in the secondary PCIe riser card, so I can install some of these 4 terabyte SSDs. There's 2 of them here. Ideally, I'd like to have 4 of these in here so I could have some more redundancy. On this side, I've got an LSI SAS HBA. The reason I got this was so that I could use this system with TrueNAS. This bypasses the RAID system altogether and basically makes all the drives in the front a JBOD. I also have a NVMe to PCIe adapter here. This was going to be my boot, but I couldn't get it to work, so it's just a cache drive for one of my ZFS pools. Over on this side there is room for an optional dual port 10 gig Ethernet SFP network card. So over here there's a USB port for installing a hypervisor on. Now you're not going to want to use any old USB key in here. You're going to want to use one that's meant for running hypervisors on, which I'm pretty sure are hard to find. Next to the USB you've got 8-pin power header for a graphics card. Now if you were to use this server as configured, it has the two headers here for the integrated M5110E, I believe it's just an LSI Mega RAID, and that's where you would plug these into if you weren't using your own HBA as I am. And here's that other internal USB port I was mentioning. It is important to note to use all 6 of these PCIe slots. You do have to have both processors installed. If you only have CPU 1 installed, you can only use the PCI riser 1. Okay, so as you can tell, this server is very powerful and highly capable of just about anything you could want to do with it. I have used this server for a few different things already. Initially it was one of my Hyper-V hosts, and I used this NVIDIA Tesla in pass-through to one of my VMs running artificial intelligence, object detection, stuff like that. Currently this system, as I mentioned earlier, is running TrueNAS, so this is a backup server, and it's not running RAID, it's running ZFS, so that's the reason I bought the LSI HBA. So I do have about 14 terabytes of usable storage. Okay, there's just a couple of things here I wanted to show you with the server back in the rack. One of the cool things on the front of this server is it's got light path diagnostics. This checks the system for any faults that might exist in the hardware, and it'll show you any issues you might have in your RAM, your processor, PCI slots, if the server's getting hot, things like that. This blinking green light here shows we have power to the system. I'll power on the server just to let you see what it's like. You can see the green status lights on the redundant power supplies there. And now that we've unplugged one of the power supplies, you can see an orange indicator light has come up. In our light path diagnostics, you get a orange indicator light there on the exclamation mark. And we pull it out and you can see it indicates we have a faulty power supply. In this case, I just unplugged it, so there's nothing actually wrong with it. All right, I'll go ahead and plug this back in. You see we got the fans will spool up when you plug in a power supply. Our orange light went away, and there's no more warning on the light path diagnostics. Alright, so that's pretty much all I have to tell you guys about this server. I think I covered just about everything. If there's something I missed and there's something that you can add, drop a comment down below. If you have any questions or comments about this server, put it down below. I'm happy to answer. If you like the video, hit that like button. Hit subscribe if you want to see more server related videos. And until next time, have a good one. Okay, bye.